The assessment is that you have to be crazy. Crazy, I mean, is your voice of judgment. Your voice of judgment has to shout so loud that you don't hear anyone else's judgment of you. And that's exactly what China has done.
Yeah.
They first finished agriculture and then manufacturing down. They export like how to the world, killing many countries, local businesses, because they cannot just match the cost in which China manufactures. Be crazy as much as possible, and when you are young, you have to be crazy. And if you're not crazy when you are young, then question yourself and get crazy.
For other industries, do you think following a trend and kind of building a product or a company based on what's happening right now, current, is a good advice or is a good thing to do, or do you recommend against it? Welcome to MVP, Maximum Viable Podcast, where I sit down with the leaders, builders, creators who are making great impact in their own way. Today we have a very special guest, one of my favorite humans, one of my very dear mentors who have helped me in my career journey into startup, into entrepreneurship. And we talk about entrepreneurship in this episode. We talk about startups, we talk about what's happening in and around, what works, what doesn't, what do you do, what you should not, macros and micros of it, and a lot more. I'm your host, Vanshika Chanderia, and let's get started. So, Senthil sir, we are so excited to have you here today. How are you feeling?
I'm equally excited, and welcome to Chennai.
Thank you. So before we get into our topic of discussion today, I would love for you to share your journey. Institutions like IIM Bangalore, Harvard Business School, and from there, how did you decide that you want to now only invest your time and efforts and energy into startup ecosystem and building entrepreneurs? How was that entire journey like?
Okay, so see, when I started my career, I didn't know that these things are not going to happen. But I was one thing very clear, that it has to be a very progressive journey. What does progress means to me then was something which makes an impact and something which adds a lot of value to me and for people who are working on the task. The similarity between what I do now and what I did in corporate life is, challenging task excites me, and taking ownership also excites me. And that leads you to make an impact and have a great learning journey. Now that continues to be the same. But when you're in corporate life, you don't take risk.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're in this journey, there is challenge, there is ownership, there's learning, plus there is risk involved. So that's the difference. And of course, risk and reward goes hands on. I would say the journey which I started with was also timed very well with the country's growth story, which is, I keep saying this, 1992, the government acted, but the actual fruits of it are felt by people who entered into workforce from early 90s onwards. So
Oh, really? Wow.
getting an employment was not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
It is up to how much can you drink, how much you can swallow was the journey that we had. And there comes a stage in corporate life where the reasons which I told you, challenge, ownership, freedom and learning, that will get challenged, because when I joined the company which I worked for, where I had the great journey with, it was more like a startup. But then once the organization becomes bigger,
Would you want to name the organization?
no, I wouldn't. So I would say, once the organization starts growing, it moves from a startup to become an organization
Yeah.
where institutionalization is a must.
Yeah.
Now, that journey comes with its own cost for the organization and also for the employees.
Right.
There are pluses, there are minuses. But employees or leaders or impact makers, they know what they're in for.
Yeah.
And I was very clear from the day I joined, challenge, ownership, freedom and learning is not compromisable. And that's the transition. In fact, plus risk is what I do now.
I love that. So, but all these four factors, right? If you would find all these four factors in any other field, in any other vertical, would you still do it, or would you stick with the startup ecosystem and entrepreneurship side of things?
See, you play your game, right? So all what I said, all this four, if you look in for somebody who's a sportsman, will find it in his sport. But I can't play his game.
Yeah.
right? So, where I've got trained, what I've got trained is also matters. So, beginning is with
Makes sense.
sales, and then business development, and then growing a business from, from a startup to whatever scale it can. And in the process, you also impact a lot of people. I would have trained close to about 10,000 people, right? So, those are the actual value parameters mattered for me. You make an impact, you make a meaningful career. Money, of course, happens. And in the journey, what you become is more important than just what you get, right? So,
Right.
and you take choices basis on what is important for you.
Right. I think, before getting into the technical questions, which I would have, otherwise, there's one question because you said that, you trained like 10,000 plus people. And I know for a fact, because I know you, that you are a very good judge of people, or you would understand people.
Judge?
Yeah, that is for the lack of better words.
Assessment.
Yes, exactly.
Well.
So what I would want for you, and you have been like, you started your journey through sales and business development, and I think innately people who are into that, they just get the sense of understanding people overall, right? So I would want to understand from you as to, if you were to understand somebody, not judge, understand somebody, or kind of make a perception of them, what are the key things that you kind of consider, or you
For?
to understand somebody?
See, judge, why I had my hesitation when you said that word is because every day, people change.
100%, yeah.
You also change.
Yeah.
There's a saying, you don't put in your leg in the, same water again, because not just that the water has passed, you also change, right?
Yeah.
So judging is a bad idea, and
Yeah.
it is, it doesn't do any good or doesn't add any value for anybody for that matter. Assessment you can, based on where are they coming from, or what is their background. In the initial stages, when I used to hire people at the entry level of corporate life, I try to find out, is there a big failure in his life, from where he's coming from, what type of family is he coming from, how well is he bonded with the family, and what is this individual motivation for him to work.
What does this tell you about them?
It tells me about, you convey, the candidate conveys the amount of hunger he has got, and how does he wants to convert that to his growth journey, and where is there an alignment between what I'm looking in for as a talent. You need to hire people basis on their hunger.
Yeah.
The skill, all that can be trained.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, in my corporate life, I had the track record of hiring maximum freshers, and most of them from tier 2 cities, because they might not be skilled. They don't speak fluently.
But the hunger level.
Hunger levels are very high, and aspiration to learn is very high.
Yeah.
And this too is all that you seek in a entry-level managers or first-level guys who you want to join in your team.
Yeah.
That's the way you assess. And this keeps changing as they grow up. I mean, once they come in, when first-level managers have a certain level of motivation. And then when it grow up, then it becomes different. Sometimes they get stuck. They have to be told that you should always learn for the next level, keep up
Yeah.
yourself for the next level, and that's how the growth journey continues. Equally the company also has to equally support on the journey.
Makes sense. So getting into the topic of startups and the ecosystem, you are already, I know for a fact, impaneled in a lot of places with a lot of institutions, very good ones, premium ones in India, where the startup ecosystem is one of the best, right? We can kind of say. So as per you, and I think again, because I have been into the startup journey myself, right? For context, he's one of my favorite humans. So we may just smile very randomly for all the reasons that there are.
So man, yeah.
So basically, since I have been seeing this, I think since I got into entrepreneurship till now, the ecosystem has changed so much, right? Within that, in terms of awareness, even, things like, Startup Singham in Chennai, we're talking about, overall Shark Tank in India that plays about, I think that has played such a big role for the entire ecosystem. So right now, what are you seeing a lot in this ecosystem? What is happening and how is it progressing?
See, I'll tell you from top down. Okay, so 5 years or 10 years before, you had 2 countries which were giving capital free of cost. One which was giving negative capital also, Japan, I mean. Okay, so, and US was completely at zero capital cost. So when capital is very easy, it will go to every place and anybody can start a business. And the agenda then was anybody who gets funding is assumed to be successful.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, funding is just one stage of you getting validated by a private capital that you can become big. But the Shark Tank events which you said or the papers, they have their own reason for showcasting startup programs. Nothing wrong too. It one way inspires people to think differently. But how much of truth involved in it or how much of it needs to be really appreciated is a big question mark.
Makes sense.
And 10 years before, when you had US at zero interest rates or Japan at negative interest rates, those capital will always chase businesses which even gives you 4 or 5% returns positively. Right? Now the ecosystem has changed.
Yeah.
US is sitting at 5.5 and Japan is also moving up, which is a different story. Now, money will find its value and capital will go only to places where it is respected, tested, validated, and can give you a sizable return for the risk which is taken.
Right.
Now, so we are in a different environment. Now the trend is not unicorns, the trend is earnings. Right? So
the
you need
profits.
The profits. Gone are those days where I'll keep burning and one day I'll make my profits.
Yeah.
People are now very clear that they want to see this graph, merging, and they want to see it with visibility. So the environment which existed 10 years before is completely different from what it is now. And this is for betterment for it, for the ecosystem itself.
That makes sense. But do you think it would change the way now, like, new entrepreneurs would have to think overall? Because I remember everyone would just, huddle up into raising the first round, the second round. And that is what, again, for the people who may or may not know better, that was the perception that, start up and raise a round.
So it doesn't happen that way so easily now.
Right.
The way it was happening earlier is my point. Right? So unless and until you are tested in the market,
money is not going to flow.
Yeah, money is not going to flow and it's not going to be easy. And in fact, the trend now, most of the VCs are not wanting to spread across, but concentrate more on where they've already invested and wherever there is earnings visibility. Right? So the capital in India is much more comfortable available. The ones which I mean is once the early stages are done and the scale up has happened, you can see with the IPO market, it's a reflection of how much capital is available. But then, IPO is not the end game. IPO is again one of the funding rounds. And after that, you need to have a journey.
Yeah.
So caution. At the same time, it's not going to be the way it used to be so easy to raise capital, which was the situation 10 years before or 5 years before.
So 2 options. Let's say option A is a company which is building like a super innovative product. Market is not tested, may or may not work, but it's very innovative, nothing seen and heard of. And second is a company which is identified probably some basic gap in the market, but has a lot of competitors already, tried and tested model. And we know that money is going to be made because if 10 other companies are making money out of the same industry sector, then even they would. But there's some basic gap identified, not a lot of difference, not a lot of USP. So of option B and option A and option B, which one do you think is more lucrative right now?
See, for idea, asking for capital, that world has changed, right? So everybody's got an idea. So why should I give you money, right? There has to be a backing if you have an idea or a product which is patented, which cannot be copied, then you command a certain amount of premium for it.
For option A, that should be the criteria. Okay.
Option B, you yourself said there are players in the market.
Right.
So, at a startup level, you already have players in the market. It is, private capital doesn't like much of competition. Reason behind is margins will get squeezed when there is already players in the market.
Right.
And you are going to be one among them. Unless and until you are in the business which is having a huge growth prospects and you can also secure your own segment in the industry, it is unlikely.
So, but if a sector is trending, and let's minus the investment point of view, because as a business, if someone wants to start just for the sake of, let's say they want to start a business and the profitability is there, is it recommended? It's not recommended.
So if it is there, profitability is there already, why would you need capital?
Exactly. So we minus the investment point of view, then you do whatever you want to do.
See, you need capital for scaling up.
Yeah.
And if you need capital for scaling up, which is already tested market, then that capital will come to you, because you have value already, and growth always chases value.
Right.
But if you're not profitable by yourself, why would you ask for capital, more capital?
Right. So, given the ecosystem now again, because I know that you are associated with a lot of academia part of it very closely, do you think there are enough resources and structure available for people to become entrepreneurs academically, course, curriculum wise, structure wise? Do you think that is there, or do you see a gap there?
See, there is a gap, and that is again an opportunity. So the beauty of being in a country like India or in any emerging country, things which are absent are the actual opportunity places. Okay, you can build that. You can build on that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the challenges that we have in our ecosystem is that academia functions in its own silo, and industry functions in its own silo, government functions in its own silo, and the talent, they're chasing something. And these four have to come together. Let me tell you what do I mean by this. If there is any serious industry problem, this is happening in the western side of the world, if there is serious industry problem, those problems are generally given to the universities, to the research PhD students in the university level.
Right.
And the best of the research minds work on the industry problems. And they don't have a problem with funding because the industry funds it.
100%.
So there's a collaboration between industry and the academia.
Yeah.
So that the best outcome also comes there.
Right.
Here we don't do that. If you ask in India, somebody who's doing a graduation, somebody who's doing a master's, you ask him, why are you doing master's? Then very highly likely that he would say, I don't want to just stop with graduation, so I do master's. And if you ask somebody who's doing a PhD, he will say, I want to become a professor, so I'm doing a PhD.
Yeah.
PhD is not to become a professor. Of course, you can do that. But then for you to justify that role in the classroom, you should have research as the other hand, so that what goes inside comes out here, and what comes out here goes inside the classroom.
Yeah.
Now that scope is missing big time on the academia side. The other side, we have talent. We are lost in the race of competition.
Yeah.
And most of the talent in India writes competitive exams like how? In fact, the last data which I saw, the entrance examination industry, the JIT, IIT, JEE coaching sessions, that is about 25 billion.
Billions?
25 billion in India.
Wow.
And do you know the government budgets, central government budgets on education? That's almost close there. We have government which is spending only that much on the education side. And you have private money which is created in industry, which is 24 billion.
Wow.
Now, what is the value? What is the outcome of this? Other than people who are in the space of coaching, it doesn't benefit anyone else.
Right.
Right? So there has to be an alignment of this talent, and this talent has to be marketable, and they should solve real problems. That's not a part of the academia at all. And when they realize that, they realize it. They generally realize it. When they realize it, it is in their early 30s or mid 30s is when they realize that.
No point, right?
Some realize it if they are from business family. They realize it in the initial stages because they see somebody who has gone through the journey.
Yeah.
And then they align accordingly. But my sense is that anything which you stay away from the competition, you are 50% there successful.
Agreed.
It is the same for even career. So and the recent development. If you see the number of engineers, or if you see the patterns of engineers from 1980 till 2025, the year when Trump closed the gate, right? 4 states, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Karnataka, had the maximum engineers, and most of these engineers were absorbed in the United States. Now that gate is closed.
Yeah.
And we have to have, and we are getting more engineers on.
Yeah.
So what do we do with them? Unless and until they are trained to really identify problems and solve problems, that's where industry comes in.
Yeah.
Government also plays a significant role. For example, whatever you see as the startups in United States or Silicon Valley, those are all the projects which were initially funded by the government for military reasons,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then it came for commercialization, civil approach, and then that's when internet happened, and then you call Intel or
Yeah.
Microsoft or Cisco, everything came out from there. What's happening now with China is in China, if you have anything very innovative, it is bottom up, in fact.
Yeah.
The local government goes and sits and makes sure that the first level of funding is done by the government itself, so that the startup doesn't fail. Failure is taken care.
Yeah.
And when they scale up, they tell them that you can do this much of business will come from the government, and you can go for markets also, open markets also. So both ways, the ecosystem of talent, idea, government works together, and the outcome comes in. And there's a gap here. Now, while that's the crisis or while that's the missing part,
Yeah.
that is actually an opportunity.
Yeah. So because you gave an example of China, right? There was this recent, very viral kind of video that was going on Instagram, which showed couple of very young students, boys from China, very young, as in I think it would be like third grade, fourth grade kind of students. They built a rocket propeller. I may be technically wrong somewhere, but it kind of took off through water forces or whatever. Now kids there are building things like that. And if we compare this to what is happening in our ecosystem, I think there would be a drastic difference.
So look at the people who are in the government. Okay, in China, the maximum people in government are the engineers.
Oh, is it? I was not aware of this.
Yeah. And in US, the maximum people in government are lawyers. Okay, so I leave it there, right? Now, the point is the system of education has to be forward-looking. We have a system which is designed at the time of Industrial Revolution. And we follow that. Is it making relevance for what it is today is itself a big question mark. Forget about forward-looking in. So what is important is, but the hope is very high. So that's why I said I'm very positive about this, while I have my own complaints about the way that it is. Especially I expect South, there's already things which are happening. People who are in the graduation have been asked to get into the business or get into the markets or be a product manager or be an intern. And that part is getting done. So just indirectly nudging people to test the waters, what it is really, so that they might have their graduation, which it is required for them to do,
right,
but they're not limiting themselves only to that. And their exposure limits are coming out. These are nudging process. And a lot of South states are continuing to, or started to do it in a very systematic manner. And that's a hope. And if you're looking at this many engineers, and necessity is a mother of invention. When you say that this many engineers are not going to go out, that's an indirect blessing for us.
That makes sense. So before this, we were having a conversation regarding, this education system and what all the academy is offering. And again, we, I think, spoke a lot about the engineer aspects of it and people who are into I think very mature stages of education. But when it comes to, let's say, early education stages for students and for people, right? What was discussed was on the lines of there is a lot of lack of values introduced some way or the other. Because, like kids, like 4-year-old kids and kids like that, they are aware of the words like, I am depressed, I'm not, feeling a certain way and whatnot. So do you think in terms of that, does it start from and stem from somewhere from very early education as to something needs to be incorporated there to bring out this ecosystem in a certain way?
See, the system of education, if you really compare, intrinsically, if you see what are we building and what are the type of outcomes which are happening in.
Yeah.
I told you what you get is more important, or what you become is more important. What you become of is more important, right?
Yes.
When you nudge on ranking and when you nudge on competition, you are training and fine-tuning talent to think of himself outsmarting or competing or coming ahead than others. What does this person becomes is that he becomes a person who wants to put his goal as personal excellence being the first goal.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is when you train talent to be very objective, and when you train talent to be making an impact, when you train talent to collaborate and come with solution and build consensus, it's a different talent. When you build personal excellence, success at any cost or at all cost, that person will definitely go through whatever you said, the depression and all of it. The value or the happiness in life factor comes in how well are you able to connect with another person and make an impact and change his life for better.
Yeah.
Now, is that part be there in the business, or is there part added in the syllabus? We know the answer.
Right.
But creating talent for competition and only competition, again, strategically look at it. Wherever there's more competition, your value is going to be squeezed and goes well for the education also.
But so lately there is very new kinds of, I think, schools coming up, right? Which are not your academic learning, but they kind of prepare you for life kind of schools wherein they have a lot of activities. There's a certain term to it, which is associated.
Holistic, yeah.
Holistic learning. And it's also like not your traditional schools. It's a lot of different things which are combined together. So
They call it as Heutagogy. No more pedagogies, but Heutagogy.
Yeah.
What suits you and you build your strength there. The truth is that, I mean, everybody, you put all elephant, tiger, everything and ask them to run the horse race. It doesn't work that way. No?
yeah, but what is your view on that new style of education which is coming?
It has to change. It is changing because people have felt that effect. You have a lot of people who have scored the maximum, but what was promised to them is not what they got. Somewhere training only for IQ has its own limitation. In fact, on the contrary, people who know how to work well with others are able to make deep collaboration and connect, and these are all EQs, which is the emotional quotient of it.
Yeah.
And the adversity quotient. What happens if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
And have they dealt with failures? If they dealt with failures, then they can
Yeah.
pull them up, right? So the social quotient, how to read a room and things like that, these things matter.
Right.
And there is no scope for, as we speak, to a larger extent, the system doesn't have anything else other than IQ, which is measured in.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that a lot of schools have come with more way of learning, which is just not personal excellence, but being objective, making an impact and things like that.
Makes sense. So if you were to kind of give some guidance or kind of chalk out certain qualities that anyone who's wanting to build a business, wanting to start their own company and everything, they should kind of imbibe, or if they realize they don't have, they should try to get like those things that can make them be like a horse for a longer run kind of a situation.
You're asking what should somebody, how do they qualify themselves becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes, internally. How do you assess that you could be
See,
one?
the assessment is that you have to be crazy. Crazy, I mean, is your voice of judgment. Your voice of judgment has to shout so loud that you don't hear anyone else's judgment of you. Right? You
I
are
love
very
that,
convinced. You convinced that you are going to do that. That's number one. Number two, you have to be very sensitive. If you are by nature very sensitive to another person, you will easily smell the problems that people are dealing with, and entrepreneurs look for problems.
Yeah.
And if you're able to solve those problems in a way where you can keep your cost low, then you have a business with you. Right? So you have to be that material. This has nothing to do with education, qualification, grades, nothing.
Yeah.
You have to have a very strong voice of judgment which is coming from within. And if you're sensitive, of course, to a certain level, you're there. And then after that, your risk-taking ability and how well are you able to collaborate? How well are you able to build a team? That's important. Because the heroism is in business, individual heroism doesn't happen. This is not like movies, the star takes the maximum here. No. It is about how many heroes are you able to make and how many people are you able to build along with you. Those things come in play. Then yes, of course, you would be successful.
So again, I have seen this from a personal experience, and I don't know if there's a very definite answer to this, but I'll still ask. So imagine someone trying to build something, let's call it relatively innovative, something that is not exactly done before. Their internal voice call is like convinced 100% and they're running. But if you're not seeing the results for, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, do you not think that how much ever that your internal voice is loud and clear and pushing you to do it, but when the results are not there, then is the time to kind of, look back, reflect, and see if it really
Look back,
makes
reflect,
sense.
and learn. And yes, that's the way it is. That's how the journey works. I mean, if you have to be a learner, you have to be open for learning also. This marginal difference between being crazy and being stupid, right? So
Yeah.
when
You have to be crazy.
yeah, you have to be crazy. And craziness is that you don't want to believe anything else other than the way that you are doing things.
Yeah.
But you have to be open for what the market has to say and others have to say.
Yeah.
And if there is any merits to it, you have to listen to them.
Yeah.
And that's important. And so what? If this product, if this proposition fails, maybe you will pull on the next one in.
Makes sense.
Right? So that's critical. That hunger, the thirst for hearing your own voice is important. There are a lot of stories in Tamil Nadu. So now, I wouldn't say startups as such. Some of the institutions run in education space itself are those institutions which are founded by people who are from completely, with the voice of judgment that they want to start. They are well qualified, but they could have ended up being a professor or employee in another place. But many of them thought that they couldn't make a dent, and they've created institutions, and they are large, and they are making significant impact now.
No, that makes sense. So, again, in the startup ecosystem and overall, I think, not only startups, but overall, we see a lot of people wanting to do like trend based whatever is happening in the market, right? So, for example, like, there was this very nice trend of Korean beauty, Korean products, K-pop happening. And I think in the last 1-2 years, we've seen a lot of beauty products mushroom in the Indian market. We've seen a lot of, obviously came from the influence of whatever K-dramas and whatnot people are watching, but and a lot of then this Korean food stores opened. So whatever happened, like people who opened it, I feel they trend jacked in a way that, okay, this is trending and we should do it. But so this was one example, but for other industries, do you think following a trend and kind of building a product or a company based on what's happening right now current is a good advice or is a good thing to do, or do you recommend against it?
No, so trends are to be followed. If you're wanting to build a business, and if there is a trend that you'll have to follow. Now, how long is this trend going to be there, and can you build it in this phase when it exists? That's a critical part. So, as you said, cosmetics in India is a trend. I mean, you can see a lot of celebrities having their own brands coming up.
Yeah.
Perfumes is in trend now. In fact, the government and the food perfumes are now in the trend. And you don't have perfumes from, say, 1,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees space. And that's a complete open space for anybody to compete in.
Yeah.
You have it below the 1,000 rupees mark. And so that's a segment. Now, how well are you able to establish it? How fast can you monetize it? Equally important. So trends are important. To answer your question, trends are important. And trends is where business also. But you'll have to have a balance of following the trend at the same time, how much competition is already available.
Yeah. And I mean, does it not go with the mindset of saying that, this is the shelf life?
Correct. So there's no
So it's not
loyalty.
sustainable.
There's no loyalty when it comes to cosmetics or perfumes or these type of products.
Yeah.
And the market is in the growth phase. So you can get in and charge whatever, and you can either sell, or if you have to sustain and then want to be only in that space, then you'll have to do organic or inorganic ways and things like that, right? So, but trends is one way of, you have to be there in the trend. Trend is where, trend means what? Market is growing, open, and it is free of pricing pressures also, and that space is to be exploited.
Understood. So for anyone who is like today, let's assume we have listeners who are in school, who are aspiring, wanting to build something, but there would be enough people who don't know how to figure out what to build, right? We do have this. So one, entrepreneurs are, we know the idea and now we are becoming entrepreneurs. Second is that they want to become entrepreneurs, but they don't have the idea. So do you have any like recommendation, suggestion as to how can they get started with that journey?
How they should prepare themselves for?
How should they get into entrepreneurship with what? Is there any way that we can find an idea, let's say?
See, the present generation is flooded with information, okay?
Yeah.
And anything and everything which you ask much before that, they have it yesterday itself with their chat GPT or whatever AIs they have. So information is commoditized. STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Can AI play in these segments? we know.
Yeah.
So what is that technology cannot do? Or so what happens when you have tech moving like this, the three fundamental pillars of being faster, cheaper, and better? It generally has a habit of breaking the existing structure and compressing the margins there. First, it will shoot up the margins. That's the phase we are in, which makes everybody get excited and adapt to tech.
Yeah.
And then the margin squeezes. That's how it generally happens. So should I build something on the tech front? Are we in US or are we in China? Is that what we are? So are we ahead? Are we on race with them? The answer is no. But is there an opportunity? Yes, there is an opportunity. We don't have those things here in.
Yeah.
Right? So the large language models like Sarvam, what they are trying to do in regional based languages, those are things to be built. But you have to understand from the country perspective or from the industry perspective, it is a blessing that you are not in the front, because when the technology adoption happens, it will be much cheaper for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from the talent perspective, should they get into this race or think in these dimension? I would say not very advisable. But what is important is, while they are spending as much time in the tech, they should know how to speak to people.
Yeah.
Basics. But you go to any social gathering, the kids are always with a phone, hooked.
Yeah.
They're not playing with other kids.
Yeah.
Both of them playing, if at all they're playing video games together, right?
Together, yeah.
So human connect and how to synthesizing, these are things which cannot be replaced by tech. These cannot be automated. These cannot be augmented. Putting things together and form something, that's called synthesizing. That cannot be done by systems. That can be done by human being. Strategizing. Strategy is too much for the kids, but collaborating, how well you are able to talk to someone, how well is your social skills, how well are you able to speak in public. If you ask me, the second highly underrated skill in business or in entrepreneur side is public speaking.
What is the first?
Being itself is taking the risk, first one, right?
Makes sense.
Right? And the highly overrated skill or highly overrated attribute in our community is the marks.
Which may not play any role at all.
Yeah, you can check by yourself.
Yeah.
So, you need to trigger the risk taking and the
Yeah.
public speaking, all that matters.
So, for people who are wanting to get in the journey, and we're talking about like college students, younger audience right now. So, do you recommend them having some experience of working somewhere and then jumping into entrepreneurship, or if again they have the zeal in them as to they want to like strike?
Either way, let them, whichever way works for them, right? So, I have seen few schools which are trying to nudge their students at the higher secondary level to come with lemon juice shop, and it might sound
Some
very
form
simple.
of
Yes,
entrepreneurship.
yeah, some place where they can know what is the cost, how much money I make, whom should I speak to, what is the profit margin. These, when you experience or do it by yourself,
Yeah.
then it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
And business is all about common sense and basics,
Yeah.
right? So if that is nurtured that level, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the answer to your question is, either they want to be a part. So if you're born in a business family, your dinner tables will definitely have this discussion.
Yeah.
So it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
If you're not born in business family, it makes complete sense for you to test the water along doing your academia. That's important. You don't have to compromise on your academy, but you'll have to work on your studies at the same time. Don't be completely blindfolded only with your books, because that world is a little outdated world in India, at least.
Makes sense. And because you touched upon a little on the AI, like a lot of people do say that we are still in an AI bubble. How we had...
So bubble is a context in term. I mean, bubble is an investment context.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when valuations are way ahead than your actual earnings can be,
That is bubble.
that's bubble, right? So there's no question of whether AI is going to make an impact or not make an impact.
Yeah.
That is not a bubble. That is happening.
That's happened.
And it is happening. We will feel in India the maximum, in fact, because it's not a very nice news. 40% or close to 45% of our workforce is in agriculture.
Yeah.
And then a very less percentage in manufacturing, and the maximum is in the services side.
Yeah.
And in services, we are at the bottom of the pyramid providing services to the
Yeah.
globe. And the not so good news is AI is going to have a hit there big time. You know, augmenting, automating, cutting
Yes,
cost, all this
yes.
falls in.
Yes.
And the trend of, the reason why you said this word bubble in US, the trend is game, which is golden age of margin expansion. What do they mean by golden age of margin expansion is that you adopt technology as much as possible and cut down on employment. So that saves you significant amount of cost, but reflects as margin expansion for the investors.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you're saying, and every quarter results comes to challenge the estimates, and then the stock prices keep going up. That's the bubble. But is AI going to take an impact, or is it already making an impact? It is making an impact.
Yeah.
There's no point in shying away from it or feeling bad about or adapt in such a way. It is going to break a lot of systems. But those are the opportunities.
Makes sense. So, like, talking about your perspective, what do you look for in startups or in growing ventures that would make you invest your money in them?
Okay, so there's two parts to it, Vanshika. One is the founding team and how strong are they in their conviction and things like that. So if I have to say it, that's the horse factor. And there's another part which is that is the jockey factor. And there's another part which is the industry and where they are entering into. Is it a crowded space, or it is an evolving space, or it is growing phase? And basis on that, we decide. That's called the horse phase. Strategically, if the horse is very healthy and if the team is okay but is open, coachable, then that's a tick, because you can coach and you can help people to put in the right efforts,
Yeah.
and then they can go up. So that's one thing. The other things are, if they have something very, very innovative, if they are engineering mind, generally this gap always exists. People who are very, innovative and engineering and things like that, they don't listen.
Yeah.
And they think what they are building is, of course, you should have conviction,
Yeah.
but you should also test the waters to know, will it make a relevance or
Yeah.
will it monetize? There are people who don't think about pricing at all, and they keep building and building and building. I mean, pricing is a part of the overall thing. I mean, if you don't know how to price or monetize what you're building, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
So, two ways. One is the industry way of looking at it, which is top down. The other way is bottom up. See the talent, coachable, moldable. Are people having real ambitions for a longer period of time? Can they, perceive? All that matters.
Right, right. I was going to ask you, how do you identify if it is the right horse? Because jockey, I think innately, like, the team, the people, they would know.
In fact, the horse is the easiest part.
Is it?
Right. So you spoke about trends, right? So trends also has a very high correlation towards the horse, which I mean. So in India, healthcare is a horse now, black horse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why would I say that? Is that first the lifestyle changes which is happening in India, because especially metros, because of eating out a lot, it ends up in creating demand for healthcare, and people are conscious now. They are working on their fitness, diet, and all that. But then still, the demand is exploding, and the hospitals are pushed to grow. Reason behind this, the beds what they have is relatively low.
Right.
Now, this is a domestic factor. And apart from that, people who come from the other countries to India, US or Canada or Australia, and there's significant amount of people who come for only treatment purpose from Gulf, the GCC, I would put it that way. So that's medical tourism.
Yeah.
There's a joke, people come here to meet their parents. Whether they met their parents or not, 21 days they get their root canal done here. And
Yeah,
then go, right?
yeah,
So it's very
yeah.
cheap here.
Yeah.
So that's a black horse. Healthcare is a black horse. Logistics is a black horse again.
Yeah.
There's a lot which can be done using technology in that space. Education is a black horse area.
Education in what way? I would rather want you to expand on that a little.
See, when I said healthcare and education, there is a trilemma which exists in these places.
Okay.
One is you cannot get good quality, affordable cost across locations is an impossible trilemma, right? You have to choose two of it. You cannot have all three of it. So if you
Right.
want good education, you'll have to spend a lot. And if you want it available for everyone, then maintaining the quality is difficult. you know, the online education serves at scale, but does it have outcome basis is a big question.
Yeah.
It informs, right? So when I said education, there's a gap which we discussed now between the industry,
Yeah.
both at the corporate level and at the entrepreneur level. There are incubation centers which are coming up in educational institute, which is the welcome sign. But that's skewed only for people of the talent who are wanting to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Still, talent which wants to get into corporate life, there's a huge gap there.
Right.
Can you provide solution and build a monetizable business model? Yes, you can. Are you going to do it for a higher cost, at scale, available to everyone? That's an impossible trilemma.
Yeah.
So you'll have to be very clear on which segment you want to target. The beauty is you have space for all three to monetize. So education is a beautiful place. It's a black horse area. If, you know, and people are wanting to spend money. The 25 billion coaching industry is just a validation of it. Some of the schools have gotten that in their own curriculum itself, and they charge additional cost for doing this entrance exam training. You know.
Right.
Right. So that's where money is, and money will in the elasticity is very high. People will pay. Right. So education is a great place, but it has to be outcome based also. So that's a place to be. Judiciary, again, there's quite a lot can be done provided the government acts on that front. You know, there's a sizable amount of court cases which are pending only on traffic violations. You know, these doesn't need judge innovation to intervene in it.
It needs AI now.
It just needs AI. You can clear all of this.
Yeah.
Right? There is significant amount of cases which are on check bounces.
Yeah.
And it's criminal. For that, it has to go to the judge for it to be heard. I mean, these can be automated. And I'm not talking about a single percentage share. I mean, check bounce cases are double-digit cases in it. If you automate, time will be less. And what does it mean is that it means the cases which are in the court, which needs actually the judge intervention, can get it.
Yeah.
Right? And same is for the doctors. I mean, if you can avoid the doctors and patient ratio in India is about 800 patient, one doctor. If you deploy technology in between, you can sizably use the value of the doctor's time only to the cases where they need to attend. And the rest can all be solved by technology. It can be used as a bridge in between. So those are opportunities. Those are the dog horse.
So what is your opinion about people who are now going outside for education from India? Because we understood, okay, Indian education system, what do we want to do, what not, right? But given today's scenario, how much would you recommend, or would you recommend against students or people going abroad for education?
No, it's not against. They should go. In fact, that is indirectly a value which comes inside. But, the way, if you see, QS ranking, of course, the top is always US, and then the next is UK, and then China comes in number 3, and we are there in number 4, or after us Japan and things like that. But this ranking is on the number of universities So, but if you take the Indian institute which is there in the QS ranking, first 100 we are not there.
Is it?
Okay, first 100 we are not there. And then comes from 124, 125 if I'm not wrong, the IITs come in. IIT.
We are not there in first 100 countries.
We're not there. No, not in the 100 countries. I'm saying the first 100 institutions.
Makes sense.
100 institutions we are not there. Right? And the first one is obviously MIT in US, and then comes the Stanford. This year, Harvard came in number 4, things like that.
Right.
So we're not there in the top 100. And after that, you have the IITs, Delhi, Chennai, Bombay, all this comes in play. So, which are all open and inviting now Indians or students to come in, is Germany is highly inviting.
Yeah.
New Zealand is inviting, and even Gulf countries are inviting. But they have their own reasons also to invite, because they want skill.
More people
they want people to come as students and then settle down there and things like that. From the perspective of value that comes back to the system, that's a very gray area, because a lot of people who go there, first of all, has an intent of wanting to settle down there. And a lot of people do come back, and when they come back, they come with a different perspective. As I told you, the way the Ivy institutes try to allot select candidates is completely different from the way that we try to assess talent in our competitive way. They would always make sure that by taking this candidate, is this candidate going to make an impact in the society? They're not trying to pull one person out of darkness, but they would try to see whether this person, if he's trained, will bring light to that entire community.
Yeah.
And what we train is on the different side. So my sense is education anywhere, everywhere, please, you have to explore and then learn and then come back and then serve here.
Yeah, I think comeback would be the important point because, again, this is me thinking like 10 years ahead now. But what happened with the US, right? Or what is rather happening in the US, the situation. Now, these other countries which are inviting, today they are in the need. It's their need. So they're inviting and they have all the laws which align with, you coming there and being very comfortable. But, and with US, it was the same, right? They needed people to come there, work for them and whatnot. They made everything so nice that it was just falling in place. But now that they don't want it, they're pulling in, this is my perspective, they're pulling in rules and restrictions which are now pushing people outside.
The trend used to be globalization and world is a small village and we'll have to help each other. And if one person has got one talent, they should do only that. The other person should do something much more superior and things like that. People or nations have realized it in a journey that, if you don't take care of your domestic industry and concentrate only at the high margin value, then you would end up in losing your competitiveness. And that's exactly what China has done.
Yeah.
They first finished agriculture and then manufacturing down. They export like how to the world, killing many countries, local businesses because they cannot just match the cost in which China manufactures. And they've taken the lead on AI and then gone up to rare earth and whatnot. So the bus is missed.
Are there any things that you would rather want India to kind of adopt from what China is doing and how they're doing?
See, we are a land of full opportunities. It has to be synthesized, put together. I mean, are we having, absence of talent? Definitely not.
No,
the maximum
not
engineers
really.
we have here.
Yeah.
But then we don't have solution providers. We don't have people who solve problems. Is that means they don't know? No, they've been trained that way. I mean, we will evolve. We'll get there. That's
fundamentally problem of there's something needs to be solved at the education level, right? I think it all
the employee mindset to solving problem mindset. If it happens to at the engineers level, it would be great. For business school students, instead of just wanting to be employed and the brand conscious, I want to be there in this brand and that brand.
Yeah.
Try to identify gaps and work with technology guys and collaborate and find out how can you solve problems at the market level, at the business level. It's a great idea. And we'll evolve. We're getting there. So that's the opportunity. India is known for surprising people who are very bullish or very bearish.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think somehow India just ends up having like the most beautiful, unexpected story of all.
Yes.
In one way or the other. Nice. So with that, I think the last question rather that I would want to put across, again, very simple. Any message or any advice from all the experience that you've had working with entrepreneurs and startup people that you would want to give to the aspiring entrepreneurs and people wanting to build?
Be crazy as much as possible. And when you are young, you have to be crazy. And if you're not crazy when you are young, then question yourself and get crazy. Don't listen to people who have judgment on you. And if people have objective view on you, hear them, listen them, assess them and take your own calls. And don't go for the social confirmation of the word definition success. What matters to you first, and from there, if you start, you will, do well, and then you will keep yourself happy first, and then you will make impact around also. So that's my advice is a strong word. My sense to them.
I love that. I think that's very well said. I think the one word that we would probably take from this entire conversation would be crazy. So, but with that, we would move on to the MVP mic drop segment, which essentially is a rapid fire. So I would ask you questions, but you have to also give the reasoning for it.
Okay.
So, and not a lot of questions, so 3 questions we do. And I think this would be your favorite question. So if you were to recommend a book to somebody, like that one book, or rather, which you think can impact or change lives, what would that be?
Change lives, I would recommend a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, written by Maxwell. This is one of the first books which I read in my early 20s. And why would I recommend this book is that I was a guy who cannot sit with books at all in 20s.
Really?
Yeah, not more than one or two
Knowing what I
pages.
know about you, I will never believe
Yeah,
that.
so now it is a different scene. But in my 20s, reading one page or two pages is just difficult for me.
Wow.
And Maxwell's Psycho-Cybernetics book, I think I finished it in 2-3 sittings. And the impact it made on me was significant. I would recommend if somebody wants to, who's not a reader at all and wants to read, which is non-fiction, definitely Psycho-Cybernetics is the book that I would say.
Wow. Second is, what is that one thing, apart from finance, strategy, economics, and everything, that sets you, like that gets you very excited?
Spiritualism, meditation. Meditation for me is sitting up, sitting in a meditative pose for hours together is meditation for me. Climbing mountains is meditation for me. Reading books is meditation for me. So meditation is being in listening to music or playing music is also very meditative for me. So that's one area.
Nice. What is your favorite music right now?
I hear a lot of piano.
Just instrumental?
Instrumentals, yeah.
Oh, nice. So that's to keep you calm.
Not really. I play piano, so I enjoy hearing the instrument also.
Very nice. And the last thing, the last question, any particular value that you value the most in people?
See, net, whatever field you are in, whatever business you are in, the happiness factor comes in how well are you able to connect with another person deeply and nurture it. And human beings are made to feel happy by helping each other.
Yeah.
And if that is the fundamental thing and everything else is around it, then life is heaven. But if that is missing and everything else is present, then it's a void. So I would say, we all have our stakes with each other. So we should help each other in whichever way possible.
No, nice. I don't think so. The podcast could have ended on a better note rather. So that was very nice. So again, it was very, very, very amazing to have you here. And thank you for sharing all the insights you did.
Thank you so much, Vanshika. I really appreciate your persistence. I mean, it's been more than a year that you've been.
I have been wanting you on my podcast.
And I really appreciate that.
And my podcast has been graced by your presence. I feel great.
Thank you. And as am I. I mean, and I've been seeing you for the last 4 years now from one of my early stage investments in your company. and the person whom you are now, I mean, I wish you much more successes and do well in whatever you're doing.
It means a lot. And you know how much it means. So it means a lot. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks a lot for tuning in and watching the episode till the end. If you liked whatever was shared, whatever insights were there, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and do let us know what all topics you want us to cover for the next one. Until then, let's keep maximizing.